What up, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and today I want to talk about planning a successful Indiegogo campaign. What do you need to do if this is your first time doing an Indiegogo campaign when it comes to this, how to be successful, and also what are some of those things that you need to kind of check off if you want to make sure you do this right and you don't cut corners. We're coming up in just a second. Okay, man, so first of all, congratulations on actually pulling the plug and deciding to launch an Indiegogo campaign. So there's so many different types of categories, obviously, on Indiegogo when it comes to this. You could be doing gadget, gizmo, you could do something on the product side, e-commerce side, right? You could also be doing more in the creative category, a comic book. You could be doing something more artistic related, which I think is actually really cool, film, etc. So there's a lot of different types of categories on Indiegogo, and this is something where not necessarily one size fits all, but I'm trying to give you at least a format of things that you need to be aware of going into an Indiegogo campaign if this is one of your first times that you've ever done this. So first of all, things that you're going to need. I'm going to kind of list off a couple of different assets that you're going to need. And then we're going to be talking about how Indiegogo works a little bit. And then we're talking about really what you need in order to be successful, right? So for example, you could have all the ingredients you need to bake a cake, which I've done before, but I'm not necessarily the best baker, right? So you can have all the ingredients you need to be successful. You can have the equipment, if you will, in order to engage in a hobby, to play tennis. You got the tennis racket, right? You got the tennis balls, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily the best tennis player. So we'll talk about equipment, and then we will talk about how to actually be successful when it comes to this. Okay, so when it comes to this, again, this is a lot of information for a beginner out there. I got started in the industry in 2012, and I've really been trying to just share good information with you, good quality information. And this is something where if this is your first time doing this, I really recommend getting a notebook of some kind, or just beginning to take notes of some sort, or beginning to get just a file together and starting to just add some of your findings there. Get a little bit organized about this process, because I guarantee you it's gonna become very overwhelming very quickly. And this is, again, one of the reasons why I love to put together step-by-step programs that teach you how to do this every step of the way and hold your hand. Why I've written the book, Kickstarter Launch Formula, which is available on Audible, also available on Amazon. Why I put together these resources is just to make it easier. And if you're willing to invest your time in saving your time, it makes a lot of sense to do that, as well as make sure that you really do this the best when it comes to not cutting corners and completing all the things that you need to. So let's go through the assets, right? First thing that you are going to need, particularly it's going to depend on the product, but most Indiegogo campaigns typically have some kind of a pitch video. So pitch video usually is about the product itself. It could be features, it could be benefits, it could be talking about the story, it could be just showcasing what the prototype looks like. Most Indiegogo campaigns, if you go and look from category to category, usually have some sort of a video. Now I have other videos out there explaining how to put together one of these things, right? But you're probably gonna need some kind of a pitch video. Number two is you're gonna need campaign text. And one of the biggest mistakes I see that beginning creators make is they typically just assume that people watch the video and then they put together very bare bones, very sparse, or very wordy campaign text, right? So one of the biggest mistakes that I typically see is when people will actually just take the video and they assume that people watch the video. And sometimes that is the case, right? People will just watch the video and they decide to back it. More often than not, the way the decision works is they tend to watch the video and then read a bit of the campaign text and then kind of learn more about the creator, etc. So when you're doing an Indiegogo campaign, it is crucial, it is vital. I could not say this louder to you, right? This is something that's so incredibly critical that you not only have a video, but also really great campaign story and really great campaign text and images and all the things that could basically go into the campaign story portion of the page. So don't just have your video and then have very sparse campaign story, or have your video and just have a very big wall of text. I mean, that's just, to me, it spells doom. So you want to make sure that you have a really good, tight, great looking campaign beyond just your campaign video, because again, people are going to judge the quality of the actual things that you're making based on the quality of the actual pitch which you have put together. So you're going to need campaign text as number two. Number three is you're going to need reward tiers. Okay, so you're going to need perks or rewards. And these basically are things that when people actually back your campaign, when they support it, when they become a pre-order, when they become an Indiegogo backer, they actually then are going to gain access to all these different perks and rewards. And sometimes this is like a secret perk. This could be a limited edition perk. It could be something that's actually limited in quantity. Whatever it is, you need to have perks and rewards. And this is kind of like the hallmark of rewards-based crowdfunding, it's called. There are a lot lot of different types of crowdfunding out there. I've written other books out there besides the Kickstarter launch formula, like about real estate crowdfunding explained, equity crowdfunding explained, nonprofit crowdfunding explained, crowdfunding personal expenses. I've written a bunch of different books in this niche, and there are so many different micro industries, if you will. So what you're doing with Indiegogo is called rewards-based crowdfunding, okay? And that means that when people support your campaign, they get access to these perks or rewards. Typically, that could be a pre-order of the product, and eventually then they're gonna get the product, which is really kind of cool. Other things might be that they get access to naming rights when it comes to a character, if they are supporting your film, right? So a lot of different ideas you can come up with when it comes to perks and rewards, but that's just something you should know. Number 3, the next thing you're gonna need. You're going to make a decision on your funding duration, which I would say would be next when it comes to planning your campaign. You're going to make a decision on your funding goal or how much you're going to be raising. You're going to make a decision on flexible or fixed funding. Flexible being that you can basically raise below or above your actual campaign goal, and you can still keep those funds which you've raised. Fixed funding is when, let's just say you have a $10,000 goal and you end up raising only $9,000. You can't actually keep those funds, and there are different benefits and drawbacks to actually doing that, which you can explore in some of my other videos that are out there. In terms of other things, you're also going to be having updates throughout the campaign. Updates are kind of like a blog section that you have on Indiegogo. So typically, creator will plan out at least a couple of these updates before going live. So things might just be a celebration. It might be sharing a news tip, an announcement of some kind, something that's going to get people excited and maintain that momentum throughout the fundraising duration. Other things you should know is that you're going to be replying to comments. People who randomly support you on Indiegogo might have comments. They might have questions. So you got to be available for your Indiegogo community in that way. In terms of some of the other hard assets, the other big one that I would mention is that it really behooves you to get really great graphics or photos. So let's just say you've invented a new product, right? So I have my little watering device here for my plant, my bonsai tree, right? And if you invented a new one of those, right, that's just kind of better or nicer looking or whatever it is, right? You want to get interesting photos, people holding it, people using it, different people in different environments, and showcasing the different functionality or the elements of the design or how it's different from anything else out there when it comes to that. You know, actually, if you invent something that automatically waters my plants, that would be great. Or somewhat, you know, that'd be really cool. I know there are other solutions like that. I'm just kind of, you know, throwing that out there as an idea. But so you need to showcase that, typically with product images, and that's also obviously going to be in your video. Other things would be GIFs. GIFs are moving images, typically that are cropped from a video. So you might have your one video, and then that kind of creates all these different little assets like images, videos that you insert into the page, as well as copy and headlines and that kind of stuff. Makes the whole thing come together a lot better. And again, this is going to vary from category to category. Maybe you don't have a physical product, maybe you have a comic book. Again, interpret that as you will. So you might have pages of the comic book which you are designing, or artwork, or elements of the story, whatever you can do to showcase what that product is a little bit about.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
Okay, so these are some of the assets, right? Let's talk a little bit about the process. So when it comes to the process of launching an Indiegogo campaign, there's a lot of things that you got to do. I would kind of segment it into a few different. One is the actual announcements when you're live. Number 2 is what you happen beforehand, what happens while you're live, and what happens after. So there are different elements of this process, and I've worked super hard to document this for you to make it easy for you. I put this into my courses. You can also book a one-on-one coaching call with me at a link down below if you're interested in launching a Indiegogo campaign, and we can talk about this and how this relates to you. But this is a process. The biggest things that you should think about when it comes to this process are that, number 1, how do you want people to show up when the campaign is actually live? Number 2, how do you want people to feel, and what actions do you want them to take throughout the campaign? And number 3, after the campaign is done, are you going to be doing anything interesting when it comes to your post-campaign CTA, also known as a call to action, which is just fancy marketing jargon, right? I hate jargon. So when it comes to the CTA, things like, do I want to go into Indiegogo in demand? Do I want to open up a Shopify store? How am I going to be selling this online? Do I want to do WordPress plus WooCommerce? I got some great videos on this down below if you want to learn how to set up an online store. Or you want to just set up your business and just kind of have that run after the campaign is done. Or maybe you just want to do a one and done. That actually happens too as well with some of my students. So this is something where the more you understand the process that goes into this, the more you can begin to think through this. So for example, just say that you have developed a new comic book, right? And you just have the initial sketches, right? So you don't have enough maybe to make the video yet or in the same way and colors that you'd want to. So as that's coming together, you're then starting to collect more of these marketing assets, right? And then as that's coming together more, maybe then you start to do some things like you start to plan out your social media more, or you start to plan out more of the campaign page. And as that's coming together, you start to nail down more when it comes to the pricing of delivering this product. So then you start to get your reward tiers more finalized, more in order. This is like a process of kind of building a house almost, or a process of building something that's going to launch, building a rocket ship that's going to launch into the air. If you do it right, you have a great launch pad, right? And you make sure that's made of good materials and it's done well, you didn't cut the corners, the thing is going to go into the outer space atmosphere and you're going to be able to see really cool stars and aliens and all those things that are in the outer orbit, right, of the planet. So think about the process a tiny bit while you are planning, and it's going to be moving. So this is why it's hard to kind of make one video that fits all, is that this is going to be moving based on your stage, based on the type of product you have, based on what assets you already have, based on where you are in this process. And the best thing you can do, again, is to get a little bit of expert help. So booking a one-on-one coaching call with me would be a great option. You can also just look more online. I have a Kickstarter launch formula. I have a different course there when it comes to learning how to smash your goal on Kickstarter. A lot of different information, which I will include down below. That being said, this is one of the biggest decisions that you can make going into your campaign, which I'm about to mention. The biggest decision that you can make, and this is something that is really freaking scary, man. I'm telling you, it is scary. If I had to put a number on it from 0 to 10, I'd say it's number 10 when it comes to being scared. And that is, you gotta set a launch date. And I'll have people that I'm talking with or coaching students, and they're like, I want to do it maybe around here, maybe around there, and the date keeps shifting in the sand, right? You need to get to the point where you're really willing to put a date on the calendar, and it can't just be out of thin air. That also happens where I get a really great student who's very good when it comes to hustling, when it comes to working hard, very serious about their project, but they just don't know enough yet about the process, so they set a date that's a little bit too aggressive. Right? So you don't want to just pick a date out of thin air. That can be useful in some cases when it comes to motivation, or it's a milestone of some sort. However, when it comes to actually planning the project and getting it done and execute it and making sure you raise the amount that you want to, which is usually 5 to 6 figures or beyond, you want to make sure that you set a date that is realistic given the actual process that you have to go through. And that way you're not rushing things, but you're also moving things along with an expedited urgency and speed. You're hitting those different milestones. You're launching the campaign. You're going into live mode, right? And you're really moving quite well throughout this entire process. So once you learn a little bit more about what goes into the project, that's typically when I recommend setting a date. If you do it beforehand, again, I think it's great. I think to me, big when it comes to motivation, just getting something done, making progress. If that's your reason, great. But just kind of keep in the back of your mind, when you talk to someone else who knows a little bit more, you might move that date a little bit to something that is more realistic, or maybe you did have a realistic date, and great job when it comes to that, picking that date. So we've talked a little bit about the assets. We've talked a little bit about the process. The final thing that I'm going to kind of leave you with is your life, and how this is going to affect you. So I think this is important and not really discussed very much in this industry. The reason why this is important is that, launching a campaign is not just about, your backers and your followers and the people that end up, joining your community, and typically you get thousands of people, right, that are part of the community. It's not just about the community that you're building, it's also about you and your life. So how is this going to be? This thing has to be number one on your mind, aside from whatever societal obligation you have, like going to a job or having a family or doing whatever you need to do. This thing should be like number 3, right? And then here's your wife, or here's your boyfriend. No, I'm just kidding. Like you need to be serious about it. Okay, I'm just kind of making a joke there. Like you need to be serious about this. So it should be one of the top priorities in your life. It obviously is probably not the number 1 priority, but it should be up there. It should be something you're making progress on week after week. You should be dedicating hours of your week to moving this project forward. For most of you out there, that might be, for example, during work breaks, that might be after work, that might be in the evenings, that might be on weekends, whatever it is. But you're willing to put in for a sustained period this extra time. And it's not gonna be all the time, right? A lot of the times when we have actually new creators and we help them through the process, we end up doing e-commerce with them as well, they tend to put this on autopilot, right? So you can, if you choose to, staff this up eventually and get people helping you out and create systems to really kind of make this on autopilot when it comes to a new store or when it comes to a new business. However, when you are getting started, you gotta be willing to kind of put logs on the fire. You gotta be willing to make that engine, prime the pump, right? And get that thing going and churning. And once that's going, then you can kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit. But up until that point in time, you gotta be willing to kind of put a little bit more effort, I'd say, than most people are willing to. So you do have to be serious, you gotta be passionate, you gotta be excited about this, man. And if you are, that pulls you through this entire thing. It doesn't even feel like work, to be honest. And that's what I love about my career, what I love about my job, what I love about helping other people out there is that it does not feel like work when you're really pulling off a new raise, which is so freaking cool. So like I said, your life is gonna change a tiny bit in that it's gonna become more of a priority. It's gonna be something you're doing for a sustained period of time. Once that is finished though, then you have a major win on your hands and you can kind of decide where you go from there. It's also gonna change in that you're inviting a lot more uncertainty and spontaneity and adventurousness into your life. You're gonna be working with people that you've maybe never met before in person, which can be very scary for a lot of people. The first time you meet someone, or you book a business call, or you have a phone call with someone, a service provider, and you've never done that before, it can be kind of like, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? It's scary, I'm talking with a new person. I get it, it makes a lot of sense. So that's gonna be another part of your life, is that as a business owner, it's almost your job to just begin to network, to begin to build communities, begin to build your Rolodex, begin to work with partners, begin to hire people to help you out. That is just kind of part of how business works. And that's one of the things that's great about all business owners, they know how to do that. So you're gonna get a crash course in that, my friend. And the last thing I'll say is that you're gonna be inviting as well a lot of uncertainty when it comes to what do I need to do next. So I think of this as almost like one of those horses in a race, and it's like you're a thoroughbred, right? You're really focused, you're working hard, you're ingesting the right stuff when it comes to food, or in this case, you're listening to the right voices, you're reading the right materials, you have the right people who are helping you that are in your corner. You're like an athlete. And the best thing that you can do is you just put on those blinders. When it comes to a horse, they put on the blinders so they can just literally focus. You just gotta focus. Keep moving it forward. Don't think about it too much. Just keep moving it forward. Obviously you've done enough thought where you realize you're serious about this, or this is something you wanna do. Just keep moving it forward. And what that's gonna do is you're gonna be astounded by the amount of progress that you make when you are focused. And every once in a while, you look around, right? You take a break, you look around, you're like, okay, I made a ton of progress. Let's keep going. Or take a break, let's assess. Let's see where we are. Okay, we did this well, we gotta do this next week. Okay, awesome, got it. Go back. So just be persistent, be focused, enjoy the process, man. You only get one of these lives unless you believe in multiple lives, right? And you're gonna come back in karma. So really enjoy the process, work with people that you trust, that don't make your gut turn or make you feel weird about it. Work with people that you feel good about, that believe in your product. And I think that you'll do really well if you follow these simple steps. So my name is Salvador Briggman. Give me a thumbs up. If you like this video, come subscribe for more content like this. Leave a comment down below. Let all those new people know that this is worth their time listening to this content. My name is Sal, and I will see you next time.